Welcome, dear listener. Let the world hush around you now. Let your breath slow to a gentle tide, in and out, as if the night itself is exhaling softly through the trees. You've found a quiet pocket in the fabric of time, a moment stitched from stars and silence, where nothing is asked of you, except to rest and to wonder. Tonight, I'll take you somewhere small, smaller than a whisper, smaller than a teardrop on a green leaf. We're going to visit a secret, a beginning so delicate that the earth herself leans in to listen. It is the beginning of a butterfly, but not with wings, not yet, not even legs or hunger or color, just the tiniest pearl stuck gently to the underside of a trembling leaf. This is where it all starts, with an egg the size of a dew droplet, glimmering beneath the morning sun. It doesn't know what it will become, but somewhere inside, in the quiet swirled spiral of cells, there is a story, a memory waiting to be written and remembered. Imagine a meadow kissed by soft light, not yet day, not quite night, the kind of light that feels like a secret being shared, just between the sky and the ground. Among the blades and branches, a butterfly, her wings like stained glass breathing in the wind, searches not for food, but for a place to leave behind a part of herself. She is gentle, this mother of wings. Her flight is slow, purposeful, like a lullaby that floats instead of sings. She drifts from plant to plant, tasting with her feet, smelling with her antennae, searching for the perfect leaf, not too soft, not too tough, just right for something fragile to begin. And when she finds it, she pauses, still as breath, and leaves behind a single egg, pale, round, an echo of her own beginning, and she moves on. She leaves no fanfare, no cradle, no lullaby, just the whisper of a wingbeat and the hope that the wind will be kind. Now let us look closer, closer than your eyes can see, closer than your thoughts can reach, down to the cellular ballet, the silent swirl of atoms becoming intention. Within the shell of that pearl-sized egg, life has already begun composing itself. Tiny cells divide like dancers in a moonlit waltz. They don't know who they are yet, but they follow the rhythm written deep inside, a rhythm that says first build the basics, and then remember the rest. The egg is more than an egg. It is a whisper curled in a circle. It is memory waiting to unfold. The shell itself, so fragile, you could break it with a sigh, holds everything: instructions, dreams, the memory of wings yet to come. But even now, the being inside doesn't dream of flight. No, it dreams only of growing, of reaching, of becoming. Outside, time moves like honey. The days stretch in golden silence, the nights roll gently over the meadow, and the moon watches like a patient grandmother, keeping quiet vigil over the cradle of leaves. Rain comes and goes, brushing the egg with silver touches, each droplet a lullaby of hydration. Sunlight warms the shell by day, a quiet pulse that tells the cells inside, yes, grow. It's safe now, and the wind rocks the leaf ever so slightly, like the ocean holding a boat that hasn't yet woken. Everything around the egg is alive with stillness, stillness that hums, stillness that remembers. Then, on a day that doesn't feel different to the rest, but is, something stirs. Inside the egg, the little being begins to move. Not yet a caterpillar, not quite a creature, just a curl, a gentle coil of instinct and soft geometry. It presses softly against the walls of its tiny world, its head rounded and blind, its body a memory of circles and lines and light. And when the time is just right, the shell gives way with the faintest, like a sigh in the grass, like a secret too full to stay hidden. The newborn emerges, a caterpillar, so small you might mistake it for a piece of thread, but alive, very much alive. Its first act, to eat the shell that once held it. A soft beginning, a circle completed, the past consumed to nourish the future. What does a caterpillar remember? In those first hungry hours, does it remember the leaf it came from, the sunlight that warmed it, the quiet lull of the wind? Or perhaps it only remembers hunger, not as desperation but as rhythm. Eat, rest, grow, repeat, as if the world plays a soft drumbeat inside its belly. But even now, even in these earliest moments, the building blocks of memory are forming. Tiny threads inside its brain begin to braid together into something real, a pattern, a path, a whisper of what was and what may someday return. The caterpillar begins its life with a singular purpose, to become more. It doesn't know why it eats, but it does. Leaf after leaf, hour after hour, its tiny mouth opens and closes like clockwork, tracing moon-shaped bites into the green. Every bite is fuel, every meal is memory, because what is a body, if not a collection of everything it's ever taken in? The caterpillar grows so quickly, it sheds its skin like a dream discarded. Not once, not twice, but 5 times it peels itself away, emerging each time a little longer, a little stronger, a little closer to something it can't yet name. And deep inside, somewhere beneath the layers of instinct and action, a silent knowing is being written. A memory is forming, not in words but in patterns, not in thoughts but in rhythms. Outside, the world continues to hum its quiet song. Bees hum, clouds drift, shadows move like soft creatures over the field. But inside the little caterpillar, there is only one clock ticking, the countdown to change. It doesn't know that one day it will melt, that its body will dissolve, that its muscles will become memory, that its skin will split for the last time to become something else. It doesn't know that its tiny caterpillar brain, the same one learning to crawl and chew and hide, will hold on to a scent, a taste, a faint memory of light or leaf or breeze. And that even after everything falls apart, something will remain. Some part of it will still remember the leaf it loved, the scent it knew, the world it once touched with feet instead of wings. But for now, it only knows the moment, the soft dance of motion across a stem, the feel of sun on its small body, the way wind speaks through blades of grass. And somewhere, in the corners of its mind, a question sleeps, unspoken, but steady. What am I becoming? It doesn't ask it aloud, doesn't need to, because change is not something it chases, it is something it carries. Every cell in its body is a promise, every movement is a step in the dream, and the dream is not of flying, not yet. The dream is simply to keep going, to keep eating, to keep becoming. Somewhere nearby, another egg trembles on its own green cradle, a mirror, a beginning yet to begin. The caterpillar's world begins an inch at a time. No roads, no maps, just leaf veins beneath its many feet, and the sky shifting gently above. Its body is small, but already full of intention, a gentle machine of hunger and rhythm. It doesn't think, not like you or I, but it knows when to move, knows when to chew, knows when to pause and feel the light on its back. Each morning it wakes to the touch of dew. Cool droplets shimmer like stars fallen from the sky, resting on the greenery like little moon mirrors. And the caterpillar moves through them, as if it's walking through a constellation. Its world smells of leaf flesh and sun. Every surface is green, 1,000 shades of it. Emerald jade, soft fern, deep moss, green that hums with life, green that sings without sound. The caterpillar walks this painted world, with dozens of legs, each one delicate as breath. Its feet grip like velvet. It holds the leaf not with force, but with belonging, as though it were born knowing the shape of this place. Hunger is its compass, not sharp, not cruel, just steady, a pulsing need to eat, not for pleasure, but for becoming. And so it eats, mouth like a tiny saw. It chews along the edge of a leaf with slow, circular grace. Munch, pause, munch, pause. A rhythm as old as insects, a lullaby of leaf flesh disappearing. And with every bite it grows, not dramatically, not like fireworks, but quietly, the way trees stretch during sleep, the way shadows lengthen without asking. Its skin stretches too, and then when it can stretch no more, It slips free. A molt. A casting off. Like slipping out of a sweater too small. The caterpillar wriggles and twists. And suddenly a new skin, fresh and soft, glistens in the morning light. It will do this 5 times. 5 little reincarnations. 5 quiet transformations before the great one. But not yet. Now is the time of growing. Now is the season of slowness. Caterpillar time is a different kind of clock. It doesn't tick. It doesn't chime. It doesn't remind you of the hour. Instead, it flows in pulses, in meals, in naps, in the heat of the day and the cool hush of night. There is no rush, no anxiety, no deadlines, just the steady unfolding of life, in the shape of a crawling creature, with a leaf between its jaws and a dream, humming in its cells. Sometimes it rests, not from exhaustion, but from fullness. It lies along the curve of a stem, curled in the shape of a question mark, letting the world move around it. Clouds drift overhead, casting lace shadows through the trees. Bees hum by. The wind rustles stories into the tall grass. And the caterpillar simply breathes. Not deeply, not consciously, just enough. Enough to say, I am here. I am growing. I am part of this. As the days pass, its senses sharpen. It learns without knowing it learns. The feel of sunlight through the leaves. The vibration of birds nearby. The taste of certain plants. The warning scent of predators. All of it becomes pattern. All of it becomes memory. Not memories like yours. Not dates, names or faces. But a logical memory, stitched into nerves and movement. When it smells a particular plant, some part of it remembers that one was safe. Or perhaps that one felt like home. Even now, even in this tiny caterpillar brain, neural pathways begin to braid themselves. The world is leaving its fingerprints. And one day, when all of this has melted, when the caterpillar becomes liquid inside its chrysalis, these memories will remain. How? That is the mystery. That is the miracle. But the body remembers, even when it forgets what it used to be. Somewhere along a sunlit branch, our caterpillar begins to feel full in a new way. Not the fullness after a meal, not the fullness of rest, but a fullness of time. Its skin is tight again, tighter than before. But something is different. The hunger is quieter, the crawling slows, the caterpillar moves to a new place. Not far, just enough. Enough to find the underside of a sturdy leaf, or the branch of a twig. It doesn't know what's coming, but it feels it. A stillness. The stillness before a storm, before a song, before a great unfolding. It anchors itself, spins a thread of silk, from mouth to branch, and hangs. A little J shape, curled, quiet, waiting. This is not the chrysalis yet, but it is the pause before the becoming. For now, it rests, not with sleep, but with surrender. Elsewhere in the world, life continues in motion. Waves crash, stars are born, mountains rise. But here in this small pocket of green, a caterpillar waits, unaware that it is about to become something else. It doesn't know what wings are. It doesn't know how to fly. It has never seen the sky from above, but still, it carries the map, folded inside, written in protein and patience, because even now, even before the great change, the memory of flight is there, sleeping, dreaming, ready. In this moment, caterpillar time holds its breath, not with fear, but with wonder. The cells inside begin to shift, a quiet tremor beneath the surface, a reorganization of intention. Imaginal discs, tiny clusters of cells hidden since the egg, begin to wake. These cells have waited in silence, surrounded by muscle and gut and skin, and now they stir. One will become a wing, another, an arm, another still, a leg, all of it held quietly, like folded paper cranes, tucked inside the body, waiting for the right moment. It is not magic, it is biology, but doesn't it feel the same? Let's pause here, with the caterpillar resting, the world turning, the transformation beginning, not rushing, not revealing, just beginning. Caterpillar time is almost over. But before we leave it, let us linger. Let us appreciate the miracle of a creature who grows without knowing, who becomes without asking, who remembers without words. A creature who begins life with legs and ends with wings, and who carries every stage not as something lost, but as something layered. The caterpillar, tiny and silent, hears the world without sound. It listens with its skin. It remembers through taste. It navigates a forest of green, as if each leaf whispers its name, through touch alone. Let us walk beside it now, as it listens to the world. The morning begins not with light, but with warmth, a quiet spreading of golden breath over the spine of the leaf. The caterpillar, curled like a comma at the edge of its green paragraph, stirs as the heat returns. It doesn't see the light, not in the way we do, but it, feels the temperature rise, the angle of warmth shifting across its small, soft body. Tiny photoreceptors in its skin, simple ancient eyes, don't build images, but they sense the difference between day and dark, between shadow and shine. The leaf itself responds too. It flexes with thirst. It stretches toward the light, and the caterpillar rides this gentle motion, like a boat on a slow wave. Even now, the world is speaking, and the caterpillar is listening. It crawls forward, feet brushing the textured veins of the leaf. Every bump, every fold, is a kind of map. Read not by sight, but by foot. These feet, soft and gripping, feel the ridges and dips of plant flesh. They can tell when the leaf is old or young, tough or tender, safe or suspect. The caterpillar pauses often, not because it is unsure, but because it is precise. It tastes with its feet, each step a question. Is this home? Is this food? Is this memory? It does not ask with words. It does not wait for answers, but in the pause, in the stillness, a choice is made, and then it moves again. The antennae twitch next, long soft threads that sway in invisible currents. They are its fingers reaching into the air, not for touch, but for smell. Yes, smell, which for the caterpillar is not a perfume, but a direction, a memory, a warning, a guide. Chemicals drift from the plants, whispers of who they are, what they contain, what they remember. Some carry sweetness, a green invitation. Come, eat, I will nourish you. Others hum of bitterness, our pulse of poison, a defense born from evolution and time. The caterpillar doesn't analyze. It remembers, somewhere in its cells, in the libraries of instinct. A chemical matches a memory, and the body leans forward, toward safety, toward growth, toward the scent that once meant survival. The air speaks constantly, not in gusts or storms, but in traces. A bird has flown nearby. The caterpillar does not hear its wings, but it feels the tremor in the branch, a tremble beneath its feet, a change in wind's breath. It freezes. All movement halts, not from fear, but from knowing. Stillness becomes its shield, and the leaf rocks gently, as though nothing lives upon it. The bird flies on, unaware of the tiny listener below. Only when the breeze returns, soft and rhythmic, does the caterpillar move again. This is its wisdom, to feel what cannot be seen, to answer questions the world doesn't know it's asking. Let us pause in this moment. Imagine what it feels like to move without sound, to navigate not by sight, but by memory born in the skin, in the molecules, in the oldest part of life. 1,000 nerve endings fire, not to form thoughts, but to guide. No language, just response. No vision, just sensation. The wind brushes its side, and the caterpillar turns, not away, not toward, but into the direction that feels most alive. It does not need to know where it's going. It only needs to know what is near. Like a compass made of feeling, it follows the trails written in the air, in the leaves, in the echoes of touch. And each time it chooses, each time it moves forward, a memory is made, tiny, soft like ripples in water. Memories not like yours or mine, Not stories or sentences, but sensations. The taste of one plant, the warmth of one direction, the way a leaf folded under its weight, welcoming it home, all of these become part of it, so that one day, when it is something else, when it is flying, when it looks nothing like this, it will still return to the plant it once knew. The scent will call, the memory will answer. Let's return to our tiny traveler. It has found a new leaf, younger than the last, more tender. It pauses to test, feet tapping, mouth brushing. Then slowly it begins to chew. Its mouth parts are simple but sharp, designed not just for eating, but for understanding. Every bite is information. The softness of the tissue, the release of sap, the presence of certain chemicals. The mouth tells the brain, yes, this is food, this is safe, this is known. And so it eats, not with greed, but with purpose, because the body knows that what enters it becomes part of it. Each meal reshapes the caterpillar's chemistry. Each leaf adds to the story. It is not just growing, it is building. Cell by cell, it forms the future from the flavor of the present, and memory grows alongside the body. Inside its tiny brain, smaller than a grain of rice, neurons begin to fire in pattern. If you could see inside, you'd find circuits forming, not unlike yours, tiny loops of recognition, of association, of feeling. Scientists have found that caterpillars, even after dissolving into goo inside their chrysalid, retain memories of smells they were trained to dislike or desire, which means something survives, something holds on, through the melting, through the metamorphosis, a whisper that says, I knew this once, and I know it still. How does it do this? That is the wonder, that is the softness of science, where fact and mystery live hand in hand. Neurons from the caterpillar brain don't all disappear during transformation. Some stay, some rewire, some bridge the old and the new. And in that bridge, memories cross, memories of scent, memories of safety, as if the caterpillar leans forward into its future, while still carrying the breath of its past, a future self that remembers the leaves of childhood. Now the sun begins to lower, a golden hush falls over the meadow. Our caterpillar, fat now, full of days and meals and moments, crawls to the underside of a familiar leaf, the same one it once fed upon, the same one it rested on as a younger self. Does it remember? Not with nostalgia, not with image, but with belonging, with resonance, like finding a rhythm that matches your heartbeat, like hearing a song you never knew you knew. It crawls along the stem, its body swaying like a ribbon in wind, and settles once again. There is no fear here, no worry, only knowing, only softness, only time. The caterpillar, once crawling, hungry, full of appetite, has gone still. Its legs are gone now, its mouth is gone, its former body has dissolved, liquefied into a kind of molecular memory, a soup of potential, of what was and what might be. This is not destruction, this is transformation, this is alchemy, dressed in silken silence. Imagine now that you are inside with it, floating in the warm, dark nectar of possibility, a gentle hum all around you, the sound of elves whispering, dividing, remembering, because somewhere within this liquid lullaby, there are tiny pockets of knowing, clusters of cells that held their form, even as the rest melted away. They are called imaginal discs, tiny islands of identity, hidden within the caterpillar all along, like dreams tucked into the folds of a child's blanket. Each one, a promise, a map, a memory. One will become a wing, another, a leg, one, a velvet antenna, another, the eyes that will blink into the world with wonder. These imaginal discs were always there, dormant, waiting, not unlike the dreams you carry, the ones you've had since you were small, the ones that quietly survive every winter of doubt. They are the soul's blueprint, the butterfly's inheritance. And even now, as the body dissolves, as the shape you knew becomes a memory, those discs awaken, beginning to spin silk from silence, structure from softness, flight from forgetting. It's easy to think of the chrysalis as a coffin. It is, in a way. The caterpillar dies, but not completely. It becomes memory in motion. Some neurons, some precious fragments of the caterpillar's nervous system survive. Tiny threads of its former self are carried forward, like ribbons in the wind. And here is the wonder, dear listener. Butterflies remember. They remember mazes they were trained to recognize as caterpillars. Scientists have shown it, gently guiding them through the dark, then watching the butterfly find the same path. So even after the body dissolves, after the brain itself is rewritten, some memories remain. Isn't that astonishing? To melt down into molecular mist and still carry forward a thread of self. You too do this. Every cell in your body has turned over. You are not the same you were 5 years ago, not the same as when you were 10 or 2 or newborn. And yet, you remember. You remember a lullaby, a favorite corner of the house, the voice of someone who once loved you. Your body is new, but your memory, your soul's continuity, is like the butterfly's part thread, part whisper, part science, part spell. In the chrysalis, time flows differently. The outer world becomes quiet. Inside there are no eyes to see, no feet to move, no sound to speak of, just a low, humming reorganization. Mitochondria, the tiny engines of the cell, are working like candle-lit blacksmiths, powering the construction of wings and veins and breathing tubes. Each cell finds its place, guided by chemical signals and ancient instinct. Imagine a painter with millions of microscopic brushes, not painting a canvas, but painting with life itself. Every pattern on a wing, every dot, every shimmer of color, is laid out here layer by layer. Before the butterfly even meets the air, no one tells it how. There is no teacher, just memory, and the script written in DNA, and something else, a kind of cellular imagination. You see, a butterfly is not only a memory of its caterpillar self, it is also a dream of flight, a dream the caterpillar could not act on, but prepared for nonetheless. The caterpillar never flies, but it believes in sky, and so it builds it, cell by cell, inside its own body. Isn't that like you? You imagine futures you cannot yet inhabit, but still you make space for them. You learn, you grow, you rest, and somehow the wings begin to form, even when you cannot see them. Deep in the cocoon, the butterfly is blind, but not lost. It does not rush. There is no hurry. Each cell has its own rhythm. Each piece of pigment, each strand of silk, knows the dance it must do. Outside we see only stillness, but inside, a storm of gentle miracles is unfolding. Nervous tissue rewires, the gut shortens, the muscles stretch and twist into new shapes. A new brain architecture forms, not just a change in thoughts, but in how the creature thinks. A new world requires a new mind. The caterpillar thought in terms of leaves, of crawling, of earth. The butterfly must think in sky, in thermals, in blossoms and wind. So even the very nature of thought changes. But still some things remain. Memories, traces of what it once was, like fossils of feeling, like echoes through a canyon, like lullabies in a language almost forgotten, but not entirely. You carry such echoes too. The way you feel drawn to the sea, or the sound of rain, the warmth of a hand, the way your breath slows at twilight. All of these are imaginal, ancestral, written in you. Somewhere deep inside the butterfly, in the corners of its wings, are the fingerprints of the forest it once crawled through, the taste of milkweed, the rhythm of sunlight through caterpillar eyes. The butterfly is a stranger to the ground, and yet it remembers the scent of it, remembers the roots. Transformation is not a betrayal, it is an expansion, to become something new. We do not have to forget who we were. We carry it with us, not as a burden, but as a bridge. And so the chrysalis continues to pulse, Why day, the minute by minute, its outer shell may seem unchanged, but within it, the stars are being remapped, and the world outside waits. Quietly, the leaves bend toward it. The air hushes around it. Something is coming, but not yet. Let us stay here a little longer, in this space between what was and what will be. In the sacred stillness, where nothing is visible, but everything is becoming. Let the quiet wash over you now. Feel your breath ripple like silk across your chest. Feel the slow warmth of your limbs, heavy and soft like petals at dusk. You are safe in this stillness. Just like the butterfly, you are being remade, even when it seems like nothing is happening. Inside the shell of stillness, a wild and wondrous construction is taking place. The caterpillar, that curious little leaf nibbler, is not simply changing, it is rebuilding, unraveling itself completely, and rising again from the ruins. This is no gentle unfolding, it is surrender, and then a miracle, a dissolving and a remembering, a vanishing and a becoming. Imagine, if you will, a library tucked deep within each tiny cell, quiet and luminous. Inside these sacred vaults lies the instruction manual for a creature that does not yet exist. A creature with wings, with spiraling eyes that see in color, with a tongue shaped like a straw, with a compass inside its skull that listens to the angle of the sun. And yet, this manual lives in a crawling being that has never tasted nectar, nor soared in the wind. How does it know? How can a body so completely reimagine itself and remember who it will be? Let us slow our breath and listen to the cells themselves. When the caterpillar is first born, it is already carrying imaginal discs, tiny hidden buds of tissue nestled inside its body, like unopened flower buds sleeping under snow. These imaginal discs will someday blossom into legs, antennae, wings, eyes, but they remain dormant at first, like a secret too powerful to wake too soon. The caterpillar grows, molts, eats and eats, but the discs remain still until the final moment comes, when the time is right to build a chamber of transformation, the chrysalis. Inside this emerald cradle, something astonishing happens. The caterpillar begins to melt. Yes, melt. Its muscles liquefy, its organs dissolve. The very framework of its being breaks down, like ink bleeding into water. This is not death, but a glorious surrender, a biological dream state, a self-sacrifice for the sake of beauty. And yet, amidst this liquid chaos, the imaginal discs awaken. Now the blueprints are summoned. Now the architecture begins. These tiny discs begin dividing rapidly, sculpting and shaping. Wings form like the curling of fern fronds. The long, coiled tongue is spun like sugar into a spiral. The eyes grow with hundreds of facets, each a perfect window into life. It is as though the caterpillar becomes its own cocooned architect, tearing down its childhood home and building a palace in its place. But the question lingers. Soft as moonlight, does it remember? Let us pause and touch the science gently, as if it were a sleeping creature in your palm. In recent years, researchers have begun asking this very question. Do butterflies remember being caterpillars? Can memories survive the molten soup of metamorphosis? To find out, scientists performed a beautiful if bittersweet experiment. They trained caterpillars to associate a specific scent, like peppermint or vanilla, with a mild electric shock. The caterpillars learned to avoid the scent. Then they were allowed to undergo metamorphosis. When they emerged as butterflies, something unexpected happened. They still avoided the scent, even with their old neural connections dissolved, even with new wings and new eyes. They remembered the danger. They remembered being afraid. And if fear can be remembered, perhaps wonder can too. Perhaps the taste of the rhythm of crawling, the memory of silk. So let's follow that idea, like fireflies across a quiet field. Let's wander together. Imagine a newly emerged butterfly, its wings still damp, trembling in the wind, like stained glass kissed by dew. It has never flown before, and yet, it lifts its body with a slow, instinctual grace, as if it has always known the sky. Where does that knowledge live? Where is that memory stored? It is not just in neurons. It is not just in muscle. It is in pattern, in rhythm, in the way that galaxies spiral and seashells curve, in the invisible mathematics of life. Perhaps metamorphosis does not erase, it rearranges. Perhaps the caterpillar does not die, it becomes a melody written in a new key. There is something humbling about this process, something holy. The caterpillar must give up everything it knows, its form, its habits, even its face, without knowing what it will become. It builds the chrysalis not from certainty, but from trust. And trust, dear dreamer, is the softest science of all. The architect of a metamorphosis is a lesson in surrender, a biology of bravery. It tells us, you can dissolve, you can fall apart, and still, you are becoming. Even as you sleep, there are memories hidden in your bones, instructions folded into your DNA, like tiny origami maps of who you are and who you've been. You too were once a cluster of cells with a secret future. You too were built from blueprints passed down from stars, and like the caterpillar, you hold within you imaginal discs, not of wings, but of dreams, not of antennae, but of love, not of transformation into a butterfly, but into your truest self. Let's float there for a moment. Close your eyes if you haven't already. Feel your breath, slow and steady, like a silk thread being spun in the dark. You are the architect, and the architecture. You are the chrysalis, and the creature waiting to emerge. Now picture the caterpillar in its final day. It stops eating. It finds a quiet place, perhaps the underside of a leaf, where no wind will shake it. And there, it begins to weave. With its final effort, as a crawling thing, it creates the structure that will dissolve it, suspends itself upside down, in a shape that resembles the number 6, or a drop of water clinging to gravity. Then the skin splits. Not in pain, but in invitation. From beneath the old skin, the chrysalis emerges, a luminous jade vessel, sometimes flecked with gold. It is the most silent magic. Nothing moves, but inside, everything is in motion. This, dear listener, is the cathedral of transformation. Imagine that inside your own chest, there is such a chamber, a place where old selves are softened and remade, a place where forgotten dreams reassemble like constellations, a place where fear and love dissolve, and something ancient stirs awake. Perhaps that place exists. Perhaps it hums in us when we sleep. We carry the architecture of metamorphosis in our hearts, its geometry, its cycles, its language of letting go. The caterpillar does not resist. It does not question. It simply follows the map written in its cells, and in doing so, it flies. We think of evolution as upward, linear, but what if it is inward? What if growth is not about building higher towers but deeper roots? The butterfly carries the past in every wing beat. In the patterns etched across its back, we find echoes of the caterpillar's stripes, reborn as stained glass. Its feet, delicate and new, still taste the world as they once tasted leaves. Its memories are not forgotten. They have been transformed. So too perhaps are ours. Even now, as your body settles into softness, your mind may flutter through old memories, dissolving them not to erase, but to reweave. In the beginning, wings are not wings at all. They are imaginations folded into the skin of the caterpillar, invisible scrolls inked with the future, hidden inside the body like letters yet to be opened. They do not flutter or shine. They wait. Long before a butterfly first lifts into the blue, its wings are scripted in silence, in the blueprint cells of the chrysalis, like lullabies whispered to bones before they are born. What do wings remember, you ask? They remember crawling. They remember the way the caterpillar curved itself around leaves, the way the sunlight dappled through green veils. Even when wrapped tight in metamorphic stillness, the cells that form wings carry echoes of that early life. The mouthfuls of milkweed, the shy withdrawal from sudden shadow, the feel of wind, not as a lift but a thing to brace against. Butterfly wings begin not as limbs but as dreams, and dreams, as we know, are persistent travelers. They cling to us even as we change. Inside the chrysalis, the caterpillar vanishes into liquidity. Its former body melts into a molecular soup, and yet memory remains. Certain neurons do not dissolve, a secret thread of continuity, bridging the crawling past and the flying future. These conserved cells, tiny repositories of experience, retain the impressions of taste and fear. Experiments have shown that butterflies train to dislike a particular smell, as caterpillars still recoil from that same scent after transformation. Isn't that a kind of poetry? That a creature so thoroughly undone, so fully rebuilt, still holds on to aversion, still remembers what it once disliked. Wings are not just tools for flight, they are storytellers, and what they carry is not just the wind, but the tales of a life once led upon the ground. Let's follow a butterfly now, a monarch resting in a meadow bathed in golden light. She stretches her wings, paper-thin canvases painted with fire and shadow. With each slow pulse of wing, she tells the air of her journey. The air listens and carries her weight with reverence. Her wings are coded with generations of memory. She has never seen the Oyamel firs in Mexico, yet she will find them, guided not by sight or sound, but by internal compasses built from the echoes of ancestors. This is migratory memory. Some call it instinct. But when you watch her, gliding without maps or hesitation, doesn't it feel more like remembering than guessing? Somewhere inside her wings are the soft murmurs of millions before her. Wings are heirlooms, passed down not by touch but by pattern, by chemistry, by cosmic choreography. Have you ever touched a butterfly's wing? Gently, carefully, you may have felt the dust, tiny scales like colored snowflakes. These scales shimmer and scatter light, creating the iridescent blues and fiery oranges. But they are more than decoration. They are silent messages, signals to mates, warnings to predators, camouflage to trick the watchful eye. Each wing is a living canvas, and every color is composed of memory, of mimicry, of mutation, of survival sculpted by time. The blue morpho, for instance, does not wear blue pigment. Its vivid hue is sculpted by structure, microscopic ridges that bend and scatter light in such a way that blue explodes like the sky. This too is memory, but on a scale far finer than what the mind recalls. This is evolutionary memory, memory written not in neurons, but in nanostructure, the ghost of survival etched into color. Wings speak in shadow as well. When a butterfly rests with closed wings, it often reveals a different story. The outer side of its wings might be dull, bark-like, the perfect disguise against a branch, whereas the inner side, hidden, only shown in moments of joy or defense, may burst with color. So many butterflies have dual wingscapes, one to vanish, one to dazzle. It's as if they carry two sets of memories, one private, one public, one to remember how to hide, one to remember how to shine. This duality whispers something deeply human too. Don't we also hold inner colors that only show when we feel safe? Don't we also learn to wear camouflage in a world that doesn't always understand? Butterfly wings remind us. Our beauty need not always be loud. Our true colors can be sacred, reserved for the moments we choose to bloom. But the language of wings is not just visual, it's vibrational too. Some butterflies, like the glass wing, barely shimmer at all. Their wings are clear as mist, and yet in their silence, they say so much. The transparency is not absence, but a presence so subtle it becomes invisible. These wings speak through absence, through what is not there. Others speak through temperature, through the way their wings absorb sunlight, warming their bloodless bodies, enough to take flight. Wings then are translators of warmth into movement, of wind into direction, of color into message, of memory into motion. They don't just lift butterflies into the air, they lift stories, histories, personal and ancestral. Pause here with me. Let's imagine we are deep inside the wing of a butterfly, not looking at it, but within it. We drift among overlapping scales, like roof tiles made of silk and breath. We float between pigment cells, where melanin and pterin play with sunlight. We see the hemolymph, the insect's blood, pulsing through delicate veins, as thin as hairlines on a leaf. We hear the murmur of thermal energy, how it builds and fades, regulating the butterfly's ability to fly. We feel the tension of the wing, like a harp string drawn tight, ready to strum the air. And when it moves, it does not flap like a bird, but glides, dances, as if remembering a music older than anything we know. As the butterfly flies, its wings do not beat independently. They move in harmony, like twin dancers locked in perpetual duet. The brain coordinates this dance with astonishing grace, timing every lift and fall to maintain flight and direction. And still deep in those wings lie the echoes of that caterpillar, the crawling, the eating, the retreat. Some of the muscle attachments in the butterfly's thorax are inherited from larval blueprints. The creature may look new, but it is not born anew. It is transformed. There is a profound indifference between birth and transformation. Birth is a beginning, but transformation is a continuity, a continuation of self through change. And in that continuity, wings carry both the burden and the blessing of memory. They are never unmarked, never unknowing. So let us drift, you and I, on the memory of wing. Let us lie in the soft meadow of imagination, watching monarchs lift and circle like orange prayers. Let us feel the world slow to the rhythm of their flight. Wings remind us that becoming doesn't mean forgetting, that change can be sacred, and memory, even in a new form, can guide us like a compass star. The butterfly does not mourn what it was, it carries it, in every pulse of wing, in every thread of flight, in every choice to rise into the sky rather than return to the earth. And so, dear listener, as you sink deeper into this soft pool of quiet, know that your own wings, whatever form they take, carry their own kind of memory, not always clear, not always but present. Rain fell in rhythms, drip, pause, drip, drip. It was like listening to the heartbeat of the sky. And in that soft percussion, the chrysalis responded, not with motion, not with words, but with dreaming. Because even now, the butterfly was being imagined into being. And oh, what a slow and sacred imagining it was. Inside the cocoon, the body that once crawled was liquefying, not in a way that meant dying, but in a way that meant becoming. Everything was changing, and nothing was being lost. You see, that's the quiet miracle of metamorphosis. It is not an erasure, it is not a deletion or an abandonment, it is a deep remembering. Even as the caterpillar's body melted down into a soup of possibilities, certain cells held the script. Imaginal discs, tiny islands of memory, floated in the chrysalis soup, like seeds in a dreaming garden. Each one held a promise, a wing, a leg, an antenna, an eye, but also a tree branch, a patch of sky, a breeze felt under a leaf. Somehow, impossibly, they remembered the world outside. Even before they had seen it as butterflies, the rain continued, soft and unhurried, and the garden too seemed to fall into a trance. Petals glistened with quiet light. The earth exhaled. Somewhere, a snail glided beneath a mossy stone. Inside the chrysalis, things were stirring. Microscopic artisans were painting veins into wings. Molecular sculptors were carving antennae with the memory of sunlight. And those imaginal cells, silent for so long, began to bloom. They bloomed not just into limbs and feathers of color, but into experience, into knowing, into the invisible thread that links what was to what will be. Because somehow, through some miracle, not yet fully explained, butterflies remember what it was like to be caterpillars. Not in words, not in the way we humans recall birthdays or lullabies, but in sensation. In studies, when butterflies were trained to associate certain smells with mild discomfort during their larval stage, they later avoided those smells as adults. Even though their entire nervous system had been rebuilt, something had crossed the threshold. A bridge had been built from the crawling world to the flying one. It meant that even in the chrysalis, memory was not held in the muscles, not in the mouth, but in the soul of the cell, in the gentle folds of molecular memory. The rain softened. It was dusk now, and the clouds glowed with that shy, sleepy lavender that only comes when the sky is letting go. A hush spread through the leaves. Even the wind, which had been combing through the branches like a sleepy giant's fingers, fell still. Inside the chrysalis, the butterfly-to-be floated in a dream of colors it had never seen, and yet somehow remembered. A monarch might remember the taste of milkweed, not because it had ever tasted it with its butterfly tongue, but because its caterpillar self had known it. A painted lady might drift instinctively towards sunlight, not because it was taught, but because it was inherited from the body it once wore. What a strange, soft truth this is, that becoming something new doesn't mean forgetting what you were. It means carrying forward the quiet fingerprints of your own becoming. Inside the chrysalis, the rain fell in reverse. Not droplets, but dreams. Not gravity, but memory. Some scientists believe that these imaginal cells resist the breakdown that affects the rest of the caterpillar's body. They're survivors, hidden messengers, carriers of identity. They don't just build a butterfly, they build a continuity. And even as the chrysalis hangs in stillness, it is full of movement, not flutters or kicks, but a swirl of invisible instruction, and maybe, just maybe, whispers from the past. In the quiet warmth of that garden, a hush lay like a blanket over the leaves, and within that hush, time softened, time listened. A sleeping butterfly, not yet born, began to imagine flying, not as a wish, but as a remembrance, because once, long ago, it had climbed a leaf, and the wind had touched its back, and now, some echo of that moment shaped the curve of its wing. So many of us believe change must mean erasing, but the butterfly teaches a softer truth. Transformation is a form of memory. Nothing is wasted. Everything is repurposed. The caterpillar's hunger becomes the butterfly's lightness. The crawling becomes soaring. The stillness becomes song. And even in the dark, the blueprint waits. The butterfly carries its caterpillar self like a ghost in its wings, not haunting, but helping. Even its patterns, those radiant mosaics, are shaped by what was written long before wings unfurled. Every spot, every vein of color is a fingerprint of a transformation that honored what came before. And so perhaps do we. Maybe you are not so separate from the child you once were. Maybe you are not so distant from the versions of yourself that hurt or hoped or wandered aimlessly through long nights. You live on. Not in their full form perhaps, but in the tilt of your voice when you whisper to someone in pain, in the way you look at rain, in the dreams you chase without knowing why. You are not a single self. You are a chorus, a soft symphony of every you that ever was. The caterpillar did not die. It became. It kept what mattered, and it let the rest go. So too the butterfly remembers, but does not ling. It remembers to survive, to navigate, to recognize danger and delight, but it does not mourn the leaf for the sake of mourning. It has flowers now, wind, sky. Still the memory remains, quiet, dormant, trusting. It is not memory as we think of it. It is not photographic. It is not even linear. It is like soil remembering rain, like skin remembering sunlight. It is memory as a feeling, as orientation, as readiness. There is something quietly sacred in this. Change does not require forgetting. We are allowed to transform and still hold what shaped us. Some pain is not erased by time, but softened, wrapped gently in silk, stored inside new wings. And when we fly, we do not fly despite what we were. We fly because of it. The cocoon too is not a prison. It is a sacred in-between, a holy pause, the hush before the crescendo. And inside it, the caterpillar's body broke down, not as failure, but as preparation, as permission to rebuild with intention, with grace. We live in a world that prizes the final form, the polished, the perfect, the winged. But oh, how much courage it takes to enter the cocoon, to trust the darkness, to allow ourselves to dissolve. Even the butterfly, for all its beauty, owes its existence to the courage of its softer, slower self. So, as we watch it flit from flower to flower, let us not forget what came before. Let us honor the crawling, the waiting, the unbecoming. The butterfly is not a betrayal of the caterpillar, it is its completion. There is an ancient rhythm, a celestial map written not on paper but across the skin of the sky. And in this map there are no labels, only light, and long before compasses ticked northward, before GPS hummed in pockets, before satellites whispered to screens, we navigated with the sun in our eyes and stars in our hearts. We are going back to that, back to when light was the guide, and the world turned beneath us, like a gentle cradle. Breathe in, and let's begin where all journeys once did, with the rising sun. The sun is not just a source of warmth, it is a timekeeper, a compass, a golden painter of shadow. At dawn its light stretches like fingertips across the wet skin of the earth, and travelers knew this is east. No need for signs, no arrows nailed to trees, only the body, turning softly to meet the light. The birds knew it, so did the flowers, so did we. They called it solar navigation, the art of listening to the sun's path, of watching where the shadows fall, and letting your journey unfold in the shape of those shadows. Stand still for a moment. Notice your own shadow as the sun rises. It points away from the light, growing shorter as the day grows older. By noon it almost vanishes, and by evening it stretches again, not behind you now, but in front, leading you gently westward, toward the soft golden hush of twilight. And so the sun drew a map across the sky, east to west, light to dark, a rhythm we didn't invent, but inherited, like the tide inherits the moon. But what of cloudy days? What of night? What of vast oceans, where no tree casts a shadow, and no trail carves through the soil? For that, we looked higher. The stars are the stars. They are not just distant fires. They are songs sung across the black. They are notes in a melody so old, even silence remembers it. For the Polynesians, the Pacific was a sheet of ink, and their canoes were brushes. They painted pathways with their hulls, guided not by maps, but by the memory of the stars. The star compass was their legacy, a circle of constellations, each one a whisper of direction. The rising of Orion's belt in the east, the dipping of the Southern Cross at midnight, the arc of the Big Dipper pointing home. They did not memorize charts. They became the chart. They listened. They watched. They remembered. The night sky was not just above them. It was within. A navigational instinct braided with poetry, handed down through generations, sung into lullabies, told in dream time, carved into the rhythm of paddles. Close your eyes again. Can you see them? The ancient voyager, bare feet against canoe wood, eyes soft with starlight, hearts humming with knowledge deeper than words. They knew how to read the stars the way we read books, not by lines, but by feelings. The earth itself helped too. The sun and stars were only part of it. There were clues hidden everywhere, whispers in wind, stories in waves, secrets in the wings of birds. To navigate is to listen, not just to sky but to sea, to the curl of swells, oh the color of water, to the scent of distant rain. Waves bend around islands long before they are seen. Birds veer landward at twilight. Clouds swell above unseen mountains. Every voyager, whether in deserts or on waves, learned to become porous, to let the world in, to be guided by more than logic, to move with trust. In the Arctic, Inuit elders knew which way the snow sparkled. In the Sahara, Tuareg guides read the wind's language. In every culture, in every forgotten century, someone looked up and remembered how to find their way without ever being lost. Because lost is not about where you are, it is about forgetting how to see, and to navigate by sunlight and stars is to remember. There is a secret heartbeat in the universe, a rhythm you can tune to if you grow quiet enough. Not the ticking of clocks, but the sweep of shadows, the arc of constellations, a breath that stretches over centuries. And the more you listen, the more you feel that you are not just a traveler, but part of the terrain. You are not just guided by the stars. You are made of them. Inside your blood is iron, forged in the belly of exploding sun. Inside your breath is oxygen, once part of ancient stardust. You are not navigating alone. You are walking alongside your ancestors. Their hands are on your shoulders. Their whispers are in the wind, and the stars they watched. Those same stars are still watching you. A certain perfume in the air, a faint wisp of smoke, the musk of rain on dry soil. And suddenly, you are not here anymore. You are there on a forgotten afternoon, or a kitchen at dusk, or standing by someone who no longer walks the earth, but lives inside that fragrance, still lingering in the folds of your mind. The past does not speak in words alone. Sometimes it whispers in smell. Science has another name for this quiet magic. It calls it the olfactory system. But what a pale name that is, for something so wrapped in poetry. To smell is to remember. More than sight, more than sound, more even than touch. It is scent that carries the deepest imprints, because smell is the only sense that travels directly to the heart of memory. There is a tiny almond-shaped part in your brain, the amygdala, and another, the hippocampus, where memories are stitched, like embroidery, into the fabric of time. And unlike the other senses, smell does not wait in line. It does not pass through logic or language. It goes straight home, straight to the limbic system, the seat of emotion, the bed of dreams. That is why the scent of old books can bring tears to your eyes. Why the smell of clove or orange might carry you back to childhood kitchen. Why a stranger's cologne can haunt you like a ghost from a life you thought you'd left behind. The scent of the past is the breath of memory. Think of petrichor, that earthy perfume when rain first touches dry land. It is not imagination. It is geosmin, a molecule released by soil-dwelling bacteria when they are stirred from their stillness, and it's one of the most ancient smells known to humans. It reaches back millions of years, to our earliest ancestors, who smelled rain, not as comfort, but as life. A scent that meant the crops might grow again, that the rivers would swell, that survival was possible. So even now, when it rains after a long dry spell, something ancient stirs inside you. A kind of inherited calm, a memory older than memory. It is the earth's own perfume, and your body remembers it as if it were a lullaby from the womb of time. But the scent of the past is not just in nature. It lives in places, in walls, in wood, in worn clothes folded in cedar. Walk into an old library, smell the vanilla and almonds in aging paper, not because books were baked with sweetness, but because lignin in the pages breaks down into molecules that mimic the smell of spice. Time leaves its aroma on all things. It soaks into fabric, hides in corners, curls into locks of hair left behind in drawers. A grandmother's shawl, a father's old jacket, a box of postcards yellowed with longing. They all breathe gently when you hold them to your face, and suddenly, the years fold. Your nose, you see, is not just for breathing, it is a key. And each scent, a door. Smell is made of molecules, tiny drifting signatures of matter that break away from objects and float towards you, riding on air, invisible messenger. When they reach the roof of your nasal cavity, they meet receptors shaped to fit them, like puzzle pieces. And in that instant, before you even think, your mind knows. Lavender, tobacco, fresh-cut grass, old leather, sandalwood. You don't have to describe it, you simply know, because smell does not wait to be explained, it only wants to be felt. And when you sleep, those same scent pathways stay awake. The mind may drift, but the olfactory bulb remains lit like a candle in a dark hallway. Even in dreams, you might smell the sea, or burning wood, or roses blooming in a night garden you've never seen, and yet know completely. The scent of the past doesn't need facts. It needs presence. Even animals know this. A dog remembers home by its scent. Bees find flowers not just by color, but by the perfume of pollen. Salmon return from the open sea to the stream where they were born, following smell like a thread through the vast blue. It is a compass older than the stars, and it is inside you, right now, listening. Breathe in, and let your own memories rise. What scent carries you back? Perhaps it's the aroma of tea steeping in a chipped cup, or the sting of antiseptic in a school nurse's office, or the sugary syrup of birthday cake. Not just memories, but entire feelings, entire selves you used to be. Smell is time travel, without a machine, without a map, and once you arrive, there are no signs that say you're here, just a feeling, a warmth in the chest, a soft ache of recognition. The scent of the past does not knock loudly, it lingers, then leaves quietly, like someone you loved walking out the door and leaving their perfume behind. Even museums understand. Some now bottle scents from history, the leather of Victorian gloves, the smoke of ancient Roman temples, the oils once used in Egyptian embalming rooms. Archaeologists have unearthed perfume vials, still sealed after 2,000 years, and when opened, the fragrance wafts out, defying time. It is no longer just an object. It is a message, a breath from a hand that has long turned to dust, a whisper through the ages, saying, I was here. And so smell becomes memory, and memory becomes presence, and presence is the closest we ever get to holding the past in our hands. Your body, this soft breathing miracle, is not made of one story. It is made of millions, each cell, a little library, each strand of DNA, a poem passed down through fire and frost, through famine and feast, from ancestors whose names you may never know. Inside your blood are the whispers of those who crossed mountains, who survived plagues, who carved tools from stone, who danced around fire. They do not speak in words. They speak in pulses, in rhythms passed through touch, through skin, through the silent choreography of life, repeating itself with tiny, perfect changes. Every time your heart beats, it's echoing a million others. Every breath you take was once breathed by stars and forests and oceans that learned how to sigh. You are not you alone. You are everyone who came before and everyone still to come. Even your very beginnings, they weren't the beginning. Long before you were born, your mother held within her the egg that would become you. And inside that egg was every memory she'd ever hold, every season she'd ever walk through, every sorrow she'd ever weep into her pillow. Before your first breath, you were already being written, and even she, your mother, once rested as an egg inside her mother. 3 generations, nested together, like Russian dolls, breathing in each other's dreams. So when you cry sometimes, and you don't know why, maybe the tears belong to someone 2 lifetimes ago. Maybe the ache in your chest was passed down like a song with no words. Maybe your grief is inherited. Maybe your hope is too. The body keeps its own archives. Your bones remember falling. Your skin remembers warmth. Your heart remembers being held. The mitochondria inside your cells, those tiny powerhouses, carry their own lineage. Passed down only through mothers, they hold whispers of the first woman who ever opened her eyes and named the sun. She lives inside you, still glowing, still enduring. And in the marrow of your bones, stem cells wait in silence, ready to become anything, skin or blood, or memory, as if your body never forgot how to begin again. And what is memory, if not a second kind of time? We think it moves forward, but really, it spirals. We return again and again to the same seasons, autumns that feel familiar, spring mornings that stir déjà vu. The same songs sound new and yet deeply known. The same smells rise and open locked doors in the house of your mind. Even your habits, the way you laugh, the way you fold a blanket, the way you hum when you're nervous, they might be borrowed from someone who lived 100 years ago. Maybe you don't remember them, but maybe your hands do. And so we are always repeating, but never exactly the same, like waves, no two alike, and yet all belonging to the same ocean. Every lifetime is a layer, every moment pressed gently upon the one before it. You are not walking alone. You are walking with the footprints of those you have never seen, but still carry. Even dreams, remember. There are faces you see when you sleep, that you've never met in waking life, yet they smile at you like old friends. They whisper names you've never heard, but that your bones recognize. The past is not behind you. It is folded into your breath, and the future is already blue under your skin. Time doesn't only move forward, it gathers. It settles like layers of dust on an old windowsill, and under that dust there are fossils. And in those fossils there is motion. Inside a seed, a forest sleeps. Inside your breath, 1,000 lives are curling into being. And so, when you close your eyes, you are not drifting away. You are traveling inward to meet every version of yourself you've ever been. The child, with scraped knees and sky-filled eyes, the elder, with slow hands and a soft voice, the lover, the wanderer, the healer, the poet, all of them still breathing beneath your ribs. Think of a tree. Its rings hold time, not in dates, but in the widths of its heartwood. One ring for every year, thicker in wet summers, tighter in dry ones. Storms carved into the grain. And though we don't grow in circles, we too are layered, marked by seasons, by joy, by loss. Every scar on your skin is a line in your autobiography. Every freckle, a small star mapping your galaxy. You are an entire archive of sunrises and sighs, of promises made in whispers, of lives lived in silence. And still, you are becoming. There are lifetimes, within lifetimes, within lifetimes, like a song that echoes long after it ends, or like a candle lighting another without losing its own flame. You are not a moment, you are a tide, coming in and going out, with the rhythm of something far older than clock. And even when you rest, you are still unfolding, still part of the great weaving, still carrying pieces of the stars inside your cells, and fragments of your grandparents' laughter in the curve of your smile. Let us begin, not at the beginning, but somewhere softer. Imagine a field, bathed in evening light. The grass is still warm from the sun, but already the shadows have started to stretch, long and kind. In the air, the scent of something blooming faint, like memory, sweet, like something lost and almost found again. And above, the sky curves overhead, never flat, never still, always reaching, always cradling. This is where the circle breathes. It is not a perfect shape on paper. It is alive, it is messy, it is full of folds and softness, and a rhythm that doesn't tick like a clock, but pulses like a drum made of silence, like a lullaby sung by mountains. You have stood in this field before, maybe not in this lifetime, but your bones remember. Your breath has tasted this dusk, your shadow has stretched this way once, and the circle remembers you. In science, we often speak of time as something that moves forward, a line, a measure, a march. But the deeper truths, they curl, trees grow in rings, planets orbit, the moon cycles endlessly through faces, the tides rise, fall, and return, and you, yourself are a circle in motion. Your breath, in, out, again. Your heart, beat, pause, beat. Your days, wake, wander, rest, dream, wake again. This is not repetition, it is remembering. It is the spiral shape of being alive. Think of the moon, how she disappears, but only to return, how she waxes slowly, growing fuller each night, then wanes again, letting go without sorrow, trusting the return, without question. We call her phases, but she is always whole, just as you are, even in the parts of you you cannot see, even in the moments when you feel small, or empty, or adrift. You are still held by the circle that remembers, still part of the great orbit of life and longing. When the first humans looked up, they did not see a sky, they saw stories, they saw patterns, not in lines, but in loops, constellations that returned each season, stars that circled the pole like guardians, time not as progress, but as return, as the wheel turning again, bringing back the light, bringing back the rain, bringing back the seeds. They built stone calendars, not to count forward, but to remember where they were, where they had been, where they would be again, and so they stayed close to the land, because the land moved in circles too. Seasons are a song sung in rounds, spring blossoms, summer ripens, autumn falls away, winter dreams, and then, again, not the same spring, not the same leaves, but something familiar, something that says, "You've been here before, you're here again, welcome back." The earth does not rush. She trusts the turn, she leans into the loop, and in doing so, she teaches us to soften, to stop counting time, and start living inside it. In your body too, the circle continues. Your cells die and are born again. Your skin sheds and renews. Your blood carries oxygen in loops, out to the fingertips, back to the heart. Even your thoughts move in spirals, returning to old worries, old loves, old dreams. Not because you're stuck, but because the mind, like the moon, circles through its phases, and healing too is a circle. Grief comes in waves, joy returns when you least expect it. Memories rise and fall like tides within you. You are not behind, you are not ahead. You are exactly where the circle curves. Think of how a mother rocks her child, not back and forth, but in slow, wide arcs. Figure eights, soft circles. Because even in the cradle, we understand safety lives in roundness. A hug, a womb, a fire ring, a bowl of warm food, the curved sound of a lullaby. Every comfort we know has no corners, and the soul responds to roundness like a song it always knew, but forgot it had learned. So the circle cradles us, not just in space, but in time. The egg is a cradle, a whisper of warmth, a room built by instinct, woven from protein, minerals and memory. Before the caterpillar crawls, before the wings flutter, before even hunger awakes, there is only this stillness. And yet, within it, a story stirs, microscopic cells dividing, delicate threads pulling themselves into shape. A head, a spine, the trace of what will one day feel the wind. The shell is not a prison. It is a sacred pause, a sacred shape, a circle, a vow whispered by the universe. Yes. Again, outside, the world continues. Leaves swaying, sunlight dappling across moss, birds painting the air with song. But inside the egg, there is only becoming. No eyes yet, but already it can feel the rhythm of the day. Light seeping in faintly, darkness holding it tender at night. It knows, in a way older than language, that life is built in cycles, and cycles begin here. The egg is a memory, not of who it was, but of everything it might be. The butterfly is already inside it, not formed, but folded. And before even the butterfly, there is the caterpillar. Before even crawling, there is dreaming. A dream made of instructions, of the ancient map inside each cell, etched like soft music into strands of DNA, sung by the ancestors of wings and legs, in a tongue known only to time. You see, change doesn't start with action, it starts with stillness. The seed does not sprout until it sits in the dark. The star is not born until the cloud collapses inward, and the butterfly does not fly until it has first learned to sleep inside itself. So the egg waits, not idle, but working quietly, patiently, mysteriously. Each hour, new parts assemble themselves without being told what they are. A nervous system forms, as if the body remembers how to make itself whole. No one teaches the embryo how to grow. There are no blueprints taped to the shell, only an invisible memory, woven into the folds of biology, that says, grow now, turn here, multiply, you are becoming. And it does. A heartbeat begins, a jawline emerges, tiny legs unfurl like sleeping question marks. Not one movement wasted, not one cell out of place. From a single beginning, a whole creature emerges, as if the universe folded itself up and whispered, "Now you." And so the egg swells, with life, with shape, with purpose. The shell thins with time, its strength slowly surrendering to the soft insistence within. And even this is part of the plan. The egg knows when to let go. It doesn't cling, it doesn't argue, it prepares to break, because that is its greatest gift, to be left behind. Inside, the caterpillar waits, but not in fear. There is no fear, only unfolding. No voice says, "What if I'm not ready?" No mind interrupts with doubt. There is only the rhythm, the gentle hum of nature's oldest trust, that when the time comes, it will know. And time always comes. Outside, the world leans in, the leaves tremble with breeze, the branches nod above, a nearby dewdrop catches a second of morning light, and somewhere beneath that fragile shell, a leg stirs, a jaw flexes, a first touch. The world is about to be entered, but not yet, not quite. The shell still holds, the moment still hums, the circle is completing its first turn. Isn't it beautiful how life begins? Not in action, but in quiet, not in rush, but in rhythm. And even as the caterpillar prepares to enter the world, it carries with it the full memory of this beginning, not consciously, but in its very body. It will crawl with the grace of the egg still folded in its bones. It will hunger, because it remembers what it was like to wait. And when it spins its cocoon someday, it will return to this shape, the curve, the silence, the surrender, because everything we become starts first as stillness. Everything alive remembers being held. Inside the soft breathing cradle of the leaf, life does not wait. It unfolds, and in the quiet after hatching, when the sky still feels too vast, the caterpillar begins a life written in hunger and patience, a life measured not in clocks or calendars, but in leaves nibbled and silences kept. The egg no longer exists, but its memory lingers in the wrinkled skin of the tiny larva, born from stillness into motion. The caterpillar becomes a pilgrim of growth, its purpose tucked between its many legs like a secret. It does not know the word butterfly, it only knows the taste of green. Each morning, the sunlight falls like a setting on its back. The veins of the leaf become roads and the caterpillar wanders. It eats, and eats, and eats. Not greedily, but ritually, as if honoring some deep inherited promise to grow. Growth here is not ambition, it is gravity, it is destiny, it is the long breath of becoming. Its body stretches, splits, and mends, over and over, skin after skin. It molts not once, but again and again, a slow shedding of old selves, each layer left behind like whispers of the past, quiet echoes of smaller selves no longer needed. In this shedding, the caterpillar remembers, life is not a single self, but a layering of selves, each one true for its time. There is no mirror, no one tells it what it will become. Yet the hunger does not fade, it sharpens, it clarifies, and still it feeds. It moves like a poem written in segments, each leg a line, each bite a stanza. The world for the caterpillar is a book made of leaves, pages it eats, verses it devours. Sometimes it rests. In the warmth of afternoon, it curls into itself on a stem, not asleep but listening, listening to the wind that moves the branches, to the silence inside its growing body, to the quiet throb of ancient instructions written into its cells long before it ever knew the word change. Its colors deepen, its body swells, but there is no fear, only the weight of transformation carried like a lullaby. It has never flown, yet its future presses softly behind its skin, as wings not yet formed hum quietly in the distance. Days pass, nights slip by, moonlit and still. The caterpillar, heavier now, slower now, finds itself drawn to stillness, drawn to the next becoming. It stops feeding. The hunger ends not in satisfaction, but in a knowing. The time has come to leave the feast behind, and so the caterpillar chooses a leaf, or a branch, or a quiet place where the wind won't shake it loose. It anchors itself gently but firmly, like someone bowing in prayer, Hanging upside down, it begins the strange and silent work of surrender. Its body curls, shaping a J, a half-letter, a half-breath, a sacred pause, and there, as if turning inward, the caterpillar dissolves, a final molt, unlike the others. A skin pulled back not just from body, but from identity. The caterpillar becomes a chrysalis, sealed and still, no longer crawling, no longer eating, a shell of mystery, inside a storm of change. Not death, not birth, but both, interwoven like threads of light and shadow. Tissues unravel, organs liquefy, and in the sacred dark of this velvet tomb, something else is written. It is not a rewriting, it is a remembering of wings, of air, of light. The leaf is a world, and the caterpillar is its soft-footed traveler. It does not know the word journey, but it walks one just the same, not with intention, but with rhythm. It glides along the green, arching, curling, resting, its many legs performing a ballet of instinct. Each segment of its body pulses with growth, with memory, with something older than itself, older than even wings. The sun passes overhead in slow golden arcs, light filters through the canopy like a lullaby, and the leaf warms, and the caterpillar feeds. Time does not pass in hours here, but in millimeters, in molts, in moments where skin grows too tight, and must be left behind like an old idea. The caterpillar molts again, and again, and again. Each time its colors deepen, each time its form sharpens. It begins to look less like what it was, and more like what it will someday cease to be. The hunger never wanes. It is a furnace inside a tiny frame, a longing without words, a need that pulses like a second heart. It eats not just to grow, but to remember, for every cell of leaf it consumes contains instructions, a language without letters, whispered into the fabric of its muscles, a blueprint carved from sunlight, a dream bound in chlorophyll. But one day, the hunger pauses, the leaf remains uneaten, the air stills, and the caterpillar lifts its head, not in thought, but in knowing. It finds a quiet place, a hidden place, beneath a branch, beneath a veil of green. There it begins again, not to eat, not to molt, but to build. It weaves with silk that pours from its mouth, fine as breath, strong as the will to transform. Around its body, it spins a cradle, a hushed chamber of change. The chrysalis, it is not quite a shell, not quite a tomb. It is a question without punctuation, a silence filled with thunder, a seed of potential wrapped in stillness. Outside, the world continues. The wind moves through trees, the sun and moon trade places, but within the chrysalis, there is only dissolution. The caterpillar dissolves, truly, fully. Its body becomes a liquid library, cells untethering from their former selves, turning to soup, to star stuff, to story. But not all is forgotten. Some cells remember. Imaginal discs they are called, tiny islands of certainty in a sea of unraveling. They carry the instructions. They hold the shape of wings. They hold the shape of flight. Within the dark, a new creature begins to form. A creature the caterpillar could not imagine, even if it had words. It does not dream of wings. It becomes them. The leaf is a world, and the caterpillar is its soft-footed traveler. It does not know the word journey, but it walks one just the same, not with intention, but with rhythm. It glides along the green, arching, curling, resting, its many legs performing a ballet of instinct. Each segment of its body pulses with growth, with memory, with something older than itself, older than even wings. The sun passes overhead in slow golden arcs, light filters through the canopy like a lullaby, and the leaf warms, and the caterpillar feeds. Time does not pass in hours here, but in millimeters, in molts, in moments where skin grows too tight and must be left behind like an old idea. The caterpillar molts again, and again, and again. Each time its colors deepen, Each time its form sharpens, it begins to look less like what it was, and more like what it will someday cease to be. The hunger never wanes. It is a furnace inside a tiny frame, a longing without words, a need that pulses like a second heart. It eats not just to grow, but to remember, for every cell of leaf it consumes contains instructions, a language without letters, whispered into the fabric of its muscles, a blueprint carved from sunlight, a dream bound in chlorophyll. But one day the hunger pauses, the leaf remains uneaten, the air stills, and the caterpillar lifts its head, not in thought, but in knowing. It finds a quiet place, a hidden place, beneath a branch, beneath a veil of green. There it begins again, not to eat, not to molt, but to build. It weaves with silk that pours from its mouth, fine as breath, strong as the will to transform. Around its body, it spins a cradle, a hushed chamber of change. The chrysalis, it is not quite a shell, not quite a tomb, it is a question without punctuation, a silence filled with thunder, a seed of potential wrapped in stillness. Outside the world continues. The wind moves through trees, the sun and moon trade places, but within the chrysalis, there is only dissolution. The caterpillar dissolves, truly, fully. Its body becomes a liquid library, cells untethering from their former selves, turning to soup, to star stuff, to story. But not all is forgotten. Some cells remember, imaginal discs they are called, tiny islands of certainty in a sea of unraveling. They carry the instruction, they hold the shape of wings, they hold the shape of flight. Within the dark, a new creature begins to form, a creature the caterpillar could not imagine, even if it had words. It does not dream of wings. It becomes them. The cocoon is quiet, not silent, for silence is the absence of sound. This is different. This is listening. Inside the thin walls of spun silk, a memory is humming. It hums not in words but in warmth, not in thought but in rhythm, the slow, sacred rhythm of transformation. No light enters here, no breeze stirs, and yet this space is full of motion, microscopic tides rising and falling within a soft, dissolving body. Nothing stays the same. What was once a caterpillar, all bristles, all hunger, all determined little feet, has surrendered itself to unbeing. And in that surrender, something holy begins. The body liquefies. Yes, truly, cells dissolve, muscles melt, old organs break down. The mind that once knew how to climb leaves and fear birds is gone, but something remains. Floating in the quiet chaos are ancient little cells, called imaginal discs. They are tiny as breath, yet each one holds the dream of what will come next. One disc carries the blueprint for a wing, another, the shape of an antenna, another, a compound eye that will one day shimmer like stained glass in the sun. They were there all along, hidden inside the crawling caterpillar, like a forgotten promise, folded in a child's pocket. And now, in the warmth of the cocoon, those promises awaken. There is no panic, no struggle, only stillness and change. Nature knows how to wait. The process is not rushed. There is no schedule, no clock, only the slow ticking of cellular time. Proteins swirl in the soup of transformation. They build, they break, they build again, like music weaving itself into form. Arteries and nerves knit themselves from mist. Muscle fibers rethread into new arrangements. A mouth, once used for chewing leaves, reforms into a delicate straw for sipping nectar from flower throats. Everything is changing, but it is not destruction. It is memory rearranged. Each molecule moves with purpose, as if guided by hands unseen. The blueprint is deep inside, older than instinct, older than thought. And so, the chrysalis is both tomb and cradle, an ending, a beginning, a holy pause between lives. Outside, the world spins on. Rain comes and goes. The sun glides across the sky. Leaves turn from green to yellow, then let go and drift to the ground like tired thoughts. Birds pass by, but they do not see. Foxes sniff the air, but move on. No one watches this miracle, except perhaps the wind. And yet, the miracle continues. The creature that entered this place, with no wings, no colors, no dream of sky, is now becoming something unimaginable. This is the secret kept inside every metamorphosis. You do not have to know who you are becoming. You only have to allow the change. You do not need a plan, only a pulse. A pulse that says, now is the time to grow. So the body listens. It listens to that soft inner yes, the breathless whisper of remember. And slowly the form begins to emerge. The old dissolves completely before the new can be born. This is not failure. This is wisdom. The wings form last. At first, they are stubs, tiny, wet, folded things, like paper lanterns not yet lit, but they grow with astonishing grace, unfolding like prayers at dawn. Veins fill with fluid, colors bloom, patterns formed from memory and mystery appear. No one teaches the chrysalis how to paint. No one hands it a design. And yet, when the wings are done, they are art. They are poetry made visible. And still, it waits. Even when fully formed, the butterfly stays inside, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. The shell that held its darkness also holds its light. And the timing of exit must be just right. Inside, the wings stiffen, grow strong. The heart begins to beat. A new rhythm, quicker than the caterpillar's ever was. The rhythm of a flyer, of a dreamer, and then a shiver, a stretch, a tiny movement from within. Not escape, not urgency, just a nudge, just a now. The shell begins to crack. From the outside it looks like nothing, but from within it is an earthquake of becoming. The cocoon splits. Slowly, carefully, a leg appears, then another, then the head, with new eyes that have never seen. Then at last, the wings, crinkled, wet, trembling. The butterfly emerges into the world, fragile as breath, tired as moonlight. It clings to the shell that once held it, rests, waits, because it remembers what stillness is, because it honors where it came from. And the wings begin to dry. The sun warms them. The wind touches them like a friend. And at last, they open, wide, brilliant, like stained glass remembering how to fly. Colors flash that were never imagined before, not painted by hand, but grown from silence. It flutters once, twice, then lifts. A being that once crawled, now floats on air, as if it has always known the sky, and perhaps in some way, it has. Because change is not a forgetting, it is a remembering of what was always inside you. The caterpillar was never destroyed. It simply let go of who it thought it had to be, and the butterfly carries that memory in its wings. The circle remembers, always, even when we forget, even when we fear, even when we doubt our path or our pace. Something within us knows how to change, knows how to wait, knows how to rise. The cocoon is not the end. It is the breath between endings, the pause before flight. Let it hold you, let it shape you, let it sing to your and when it is time, you will emerge soft and new, and full of skies. The cocoon does not ask for applause. It folds inward, quietly, like dusk folding its lavender arms around the sun. It is a room without windows, a silence without end. Inside it, the body that once crawled on emerald leaves is melting, unmaking itself with soft determination. This is not death. This is preparation. In the stillness of the chrysalis, there is a symphony playing in molecular whispers. Proteins unravel, cells dissolve. The creature that was, its feet, its mouth, its hungry instincts, dismantles with elegance. A planned disassembly, but hidden in the soup of memory are imaginal discs, tiny blueprints of wings, antennae and legs, that have never touched the earth. They remember what hasn't yet been. Yes, even in the melting, there is remembering. The imaginal discs are dreamers with instructions. They carry the echo of sky, though they have never seen it. They carry the symmetry of flight, though they have never left the cocoon. They are pieces of tomorrow, nested gently inside the dying body of yesterday. And so transformation is not just change, it is remembering forward, a blueprint unfolding in slow, luminous silence. The chrysalis hangs from a twig like a prayer held mid-sentence. Birds pass by, wind dances around it, curious but gentle. Rain comes and goes, daylight hums, moonlight watches, and inside, unseen, the alchemy continues. Each hour is a stitch, each breathless night is a thread. Outside, the world assumes nothing, but the twig knows, the branch knows, the leaf remembers the weight of the caterpillar, and now holds the lightness of becoming. And then, as if the cocoon can feel time soften its edges, small movements begin, twitches, tremors in the veil, not of pain, but of emergence. Cracks form, hairline hesitant, a slow undoing of the seal, and then as quietly as a sigh released in sleep, a wing appears, crumpled, wet, unsure, not yet ready to lift, not yet brave enough to believe. But the body remembers. The creature inside does not rush. It knows this moment is sacred. It rests, soft and trembling, half inside the cocoon and half inside a dream. The wind comes again, offering encouragement. The sun stretches down, lending warmth. It climbs out, not as what it was, but as what it always held within. A butterfly, its wings unfold like stories long hidden, lines etched in iridescence, veins mapped by ancient instruction, each cell whispering now, 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 and still, it does not fly, not yet. It waits, wings drying in the open air, body steadying, the world greeting it not with fanfare but with presence. The leaf that once bore a caterpillar now hosts a miracle. It does not ask questions, it simply holds. The butterfly, new to gravity, new to wind, balances, not afraid, not certain, just being. And the sun watches, and the earth watches, and memory, silent and faithful, watches too, because the first flight is not just a leap, it is a return, a homecoming to a future that was always seeded in the past. Wings stretch, muscles red, and then with a softness born of centuries, the butterfly lifts, not away from the world, but deeper into it. Inside the cocoon, silence does not mean stillness. It is the hush of rearrangement, the muting of oneself, so that another might whisper into being. In the velvet dark, the caterpillar dissolves, not in death, but in transformation, a breaking apart, yes, but every fragment carries a memory of flight. It has not yet known, of wings. It has not yet worn. Cells remember future. Imaginal discs, tiny blueprints folded in the worm, wake and begin to spin new dreams from the ashes of what once crawled. The body liquefies, legs soften, organs melt into a soup of intention, and in that warm quiet, the heart of a butterfly begins to beat. For the very first time, it does not know the sky yet. It does not know the wind, but it remembers a pull, a longing that began long before the egg, a cycle much older than thought. The cocoon is not a coffin. It is a womb of memory, where ancestors hum lullabies of change, and the soul listens with new skill. There is no rush, no clock ticks here, only the slow alchemy of becoming. Proteins swirl like dancers, making eyes, antennae color, the soft curve of wings, the strength of new legs. The old caterpillar body is not gone, it is becoming the butterfly, not replaced, remembered differently. What if we too do not shed our pasts, but rewrite them within us? What if grief does not leave, but becomes a wing, a color, a new direction? There are things only darkness can teach. The cocoon is wrapped in quiet lessons. How to be still without fear, how to fall inward, how to trust the process without knowing the outcome. Outside, the world forgets. Rain falls, leaves turn, time walks on. But inside, the spirit learns the language of radical patience. And somewhere in the very center of that suspended world, tiny threads weave memory into motion, reality into possibility. The butterfly to be does not resist, it surrenders, not in defeat, but in faith, in a form it has never seen, in colors it cannot yet feel, in winds it has only ever sensed in its dreams. It waits, it melts, it melts, it listens, it becomes, and though no one sees it, a miracle is unfolding in the quietest corner of the living world. The cocoon shimmers now, not with light, but with silence, a silence so complete, it feels like breath held across time, a pause in the music of becoming. Within, the caterpillar has long vanished, not destroyed but dissolved, its body unmade into a soup of memory and intention, wanders the thresholds of past and future. The imaginal cells awaken, ancient architects, sleeping in the flesh since the very first heartbeat. They whisper blueprints not just of wings, but of skies yet to be dreamt. In the hush, a slow rhythm, a knock, a signal. It is time. The chrysalis once armor begins to soften, not break, not shatter, but open, gently. A seam appears, so faint it might have been a wrinkle in time, and from that crease, a wet miracle emerges. The butterfly does not burst forth, it arrives, carefully. Its wings are crumpled scrolls, ink still drying from the poems written inside the dark. It clings to the husk, a final farewell to the chamber of remembrance, where death and birth share a single breath. Air meets wing. The butterfly waits, not with haste, but with reverence. It knows that becoming takes patience, that freedom too must be learned. The wind sends greetings. A tremble shivers through its wings, not yet ready to fly but ready to try. Each moment now is a blessing measured in flutters. The sky, curious and golden, sends down its warmth in ribbons. The butterfly spreads its wings wide, like a prayer unfolding. Every cell remembers the journey, from egg to hunger, to sleep, to transformation. It does not forget what it was, even as it rises. Flight is not escape, it is a hymn sung in honor of change. It lifts, not with effort, but with trust, and the air carries it, a brushstroke of color in the story of the sky. The garden watches in silence, petals sigh, the wind weaves its applause through branches, and the earth remembers the weight of the cocoon, a life once grounded, now drawn upward into motion, into breath, into the slow dance of sunlight. The butterfly is not just a creature now, it is memory in motion, a story told with wings. It flits from bloom to bloom, drinking sweetness like forgotten dreams, not just feeding, but participating in the endless loop of life, pollinating not only flowers, but possibility, and everywhere it lands, it leaves behind more than dust. It leaves behind an echo of what it means to become, to let go, to rest, to emerge, to fly. Above the field a child watches, their eyes wide, heart still. They do not know why they're crying, only that something in them remembers too, remembers hunger, and waiting, and dreaming, remembers being small, and being afraid, and wanting to be more, and seeing the butterfly they understand, not with words, but with something deeper. That change is not loss. It is music becoming color. It is stillness turning into dance. That the end is not an end at all, but a way through. The butterfly circles once, a spiral of blessing in the afternoon light, then drifts toward the horizon, where sky kisses earth. Gone but not forgotten, for it lives now, in every bud, daring to bloom, every caterpillar, daring to dream, and every heart that dares to open, even while it trembles. And so the wind speaks to the wings now open. The final hush, the circling hush, the hush that has been here before. A butterfly light as the breath of a memory, circles above a patch of sun-warmed moss. Her wings bear the script of lifetimes, letters written in scales, colors learned from flowers, geometry taught by light. She is the culmination of a story that began long before she had wings, a tale scribed in stillness and shadow. But she does not fly to escape the past. She flies because she is the past in motion. Each beat of her wings contains echoes of her former selves. The egg that once clung to a trembling leaf, laid in silence, invisible to most, rests within her. The caterpillar who devoured the green world with hunger and awe, inching along the vast, unknown spines of leaves. She is there too. And the chrysalis, suspended like a question in time, holding darkness and transformation, that mystery is folded into her now, shaping the tilt of her dance. She carries them all, lifetimes within lifetimes. She circles the garden not to forget, but to remember, not to wander, but to return. Each petal she visits reminds her of sweetness once tasted by a different tongue. Each breeze feels like the breath that once sighed from a body with no wings. And in this remembering, the air becomes sacred. She alights on a branch, her legs brushing against the bark like a whisper. Her wings fold and unfold in a slow rhythm, not of urgency, but of reverence. Time does not chase her now. It walks beside her. There is no straight line forward, no ladder out of the past, no escape from the story. Only the spiral, the sacred, endless spiral, the circle that carries her and all life home. The sun begins to lower, slanting into gold. The garden hums with a soft farewell. Shadows stretch their arms along the roof, and the butterfly, in a motion as ancient as it is tender, lays a single egg on a trembling leaf. She does not stay to see it hatch. She doesn't need to. She has already lived that life, and the leaf remembers. The egg glows in the last light, impossibly small, impossibly full. Inside it, the memory of wings is sleeping. Inside it, the instructions for hunger. Inside it, the pull of green. Inside it, the future, but also the past. It is all one rhythm, one circle, one breath. The butterfly lifts her wings, brushes the breeze, and drifts into the twilight, her shadow dancing across the bark, then the leaves, then gone, but not lost, because the circle remembers, and it begins again, the end that is always a beginning, the hush of change that never fully fades, a leaf cradling an egg, a story quietly beginning again, and again, and again. So the dreamer, close your eyes with a deep breath. You are entering in the valley of sleep.